Keir Starmer is facing one of the biggest challenges of his leadership, one that threatens to fracture his party at every level. What began as quiet discontent has now erupted into full-scale rebellion, with senior Labour figures warning of an internal crisis that could have lasting consequences. Tensions have been brewing for months, but in the last few days, they have reached breaking point. Resignations are piling up, once loyal party members are walking away. And in Parliament, Starmer is under attack, not from the opposition, but from his own MPs. Now, Labour's leader finds himself at the centre of a political storm, accused of betraying the very people who put him in power. The backlash is growing, and Starmer is running out of time to contain it. In today's video, we will break it all down, but first, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Just a quick one to say we have new Labour t-shirts available on our website. You can check the link in the description or go to britishstand.com. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is facing growing unrest within his party following the government's decision to push forward with major cuts to Britain's benefit system. A wave of resignations from local councillors is now threatening to destabilise Labour at a grassroots level, with senior figures warning that a full-scale rebellion is looming. This latest backlash comes after Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall unveiled plans to slash welfare spending by £5 billion. A move that has enraged left-wing Labour MPs and grassroots activists alike. Sitting loyally alongside Kendall in the House of Commons on Tuesday, Starmer listened as she detailed the government's cost-cutting measures, which are expected to have a significant impact on some of Britain's most vulnerable communities. Starmer's decision to support the cuts has sparked fierce criticism within his own ranks. Former Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott accused him of balancing the books on the backs of Britain's poorest, while Richard Bergen, a prominent left-wing MP, warned that Starmer is now facing the mother of all rebellions. Bergen's warning carries weight, given his history of defying the Labour leadership over welfare policy. Last summer, he was briefly suspended from the party after backing an SNP amendment to scrap the controversial two-child benefit cap. His defiance reflects the deep unease many within Labour feel about Starmer's shift toward fiscal conservatism. However, while Labour MPs are voicing their opposition in Westminster, the real consequences of Starmer's policies are being felt at a local level, where resignations are already piling up. Among the most significant departures is Peter Lowe, the former Labour leader of Dudley Council. After 41 years as a Labour member, Lowe has now quit the party, citing deep concerns over the government's decision to cut benefits. In a scathing resignation statement, Lowe said, "I cannot in all honesty be consistent to my principles or the community I serve if I choose my party over the people I was elected to represent. If it's wrong for the Tories to be attacking the most vulnerable in our community in Dudley, then it must be wrong for my government to be doing the same. To be associated with this attack is not something I can be part of. Many of my friends and their families, in addition to my constituents, will be severely impacted by this." His words have resonated with many within the Labour movement, and his resignation is unlikely to be an isolated case. In Doncaster, a key Labour stronghold, further resignations are expected in the coming days. The city, which has a long history of Labour governance, is now emerging as a potential battleground between Starmer's Labour and the resurgent Reform UK party. Sources within Labour suggest that councillors in red wall areas, many of whom only narrowly won back their seats from the Tories in recent years, are finding it increasingly difficult to justify Starmer's policies to their constituents. A party insider told reporters that Labour councillors are struggling to campaign on the government's behalf, calling the situation increasingly untenable. It's hard enough getting people to campaign for Labour after what's happened over the last few years. But now we're being asked to go out and defend benefit cuts. That's a step too far for a lot of councillors. Despite the wave of resignations, some on the Labour left are urging members to stay and fight from within the party. The Momentum Group, which remains loyal to Jeremy Corbyn's vision of Labour, has been mobilising its members to apply internal pressure on Starmer rather than quitting altogether. However, sources close to the group acknowledge that frustration is growing, with many believing that Labour under Starmer is now indistinguishable from the Conservative Party when it comes to economic policy. What happens next? With local elections looming, Labour's internal divisions could pose a serious challenge for Starmer. If more councillors choose to follow Peter Lowe's lead, Labour risks losing its foothold in key areas where it had hoped to consolidate support ahead of the next general election. Meanwhile, Labour's parliamentary left is unlikely to stay quiet. Diane Abbott, Richard Bergen, and other MPs who have spoken out against the benefit cuts may yet form the backbone of a major rebellion when Starmer attempts to push his welfare policies through Parliament. For now, the Prime Minister remains defiant, standing by his government's decision to rein in Britain's growing benefits bill. But as the backlash intensifies, the real question is whether Starmer can keep his party together, or whether his leadership is heading toward its biggest crisis yet. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments.
In other news, Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey has described US President Donald Trump an unreliable ally and said his stance on Ukraine has been damaging for Britain's security. In an interview with Catherine Forster on GB News, he said MPs should be given a vote before UK troops are deployed there, and that the government should be looking for an UK-EU customs union. Reacting to the sentencing of teenage killer Nicholas Prosper, he said, "This is a harrowing and shocking crime, and my thoughts are with all the friends of the family who were murdered. And I think we should pay tribute to police who stopped even more serious crimes being affected. So I think we need to look at this in the most profound way." I hear the Home Secretary is calling for a domestic homicide review. That's quite an important measure. We need to look at the firearm sales controls, and I think you're right about what young men are looking at online. We need to make sure that the tech companies aren't putting us all at danger. He said the government had made mistakes that have hampered economic growth. I think we all knew we had to clear up the mess from the Conservatives, but I don't like lots of these measures that Labour's putting forward. I think the winter fuel payment abolition was a big mistake and can hit a lot of pensioners, and Liberal Democrats have opposed that. I think the national insurance rise is a mistake. Yes, we needed to find more money for the health service and care, the Liberal Democrats argued for that, but we showed a different way, a fairer way, which wouldn't have hit small businesses, wouldn't have been a drag on growth, and would have enabled us to get the money into the health and care system, which is so urgently needed, while making sure our economy can prosper. Liberal Democrats believe we need to invest in our health and care systems, and we've proposed other tax measures which are much fairer and wouldn't drag the economy down. We've argued, for example, the big banks should pay the taxes they were in 2016 until the Conservatives gave them big tax cuts. That would raise over £4 billion a year. We've argued that social media giants can afford to pay more in tax. We've argued, for example, that a digital services tax should be raised that would hit those large multinational companies, often American, and make them pay their fair share. We've argued that online gambling firms should pay a bit more. We put forward tax measures because we know the financial mess that the Tories created has to be dealt with. We know we need money for our public services, but the way that Liberal Democrats are proposing, it wouldn't be such a drag on our economy.
What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.